Okay, this is an unfiltered rant. And I'm just gonna go off, I guess, while I look for this rubber band for my cards. But basically, something that I realized today is that maybe it's like finding a piece of my purpose. And it's something that's kind of been at the back of my mind for some time. And I didn't really want to like confront it, or I didn't really want to accept it because it felt scary. But I feel such a surge of like passion right now. And I need to like verbalize this, right? I'm to For some context, part of my like I guess what people would generally call it is like spiritual awakening or unlocking your gifts. It's come from rage, like pure rage, and frustration because when I was younger, I wanted so badly to understand astrology, so badly to understand so many spiritual, mystical terms. But no matter where I looked, it was all so mystified. It was all just like like people were speaking in a code. And everywhere I looked, it's like people were just like repeating one another. It was like an echo chamber, where no one was really explaining anything. As an example, um, when it comes to like astrology, when I was younger, I was really into astrology. I thought it would be a good way of getting to know myself better. But every time I would look up like what planets meant or houses meant or signs meant, there was just like, and it every single time it would say the same thing about how, oh, the your chart is a play and the um, planets are a setting, and those kind of, or sorry, the houses are a setting, which made sense. Those two things made sense. But then they would be like, and the planets are actors and the signs are the roles that they play, and that's all. Like that's all they would elaborate on. And I was like, what does that mean? Right? I understand you're giving a comparison, but if you're not explaining any further than that, your comparison is basically moot. And it frustrated me for so long. And I think that's essentially how I stopped like caring about like mystical stuff, because when I was like much younger, like a kid, I was like really into this stuff. But then I was like, it's clear that like people don't want me here, right? Because they're not making it easy for me. It's not accessible for someone like me. So this might not be the space for me. And I can't help now but think to all the people who are like me, young, old, and it doesn't matter like at all like the background or anything, just thinking that like, oh, this place must not be for me. They're speaking in another alien foreign language, so it's not for me. And this is why I made like my previous video, is because I'm just so tired of it. I'm so tired of like people just like speaking in codes and like not fully explaining. Not It's almost like they don't want people to understand. And I don't think it's like purposefully gatekeeping. It's almost like a disconnection from like the average person, right? You have become so advanced in what you've learned and what you've discovered that you've forgotten that you're trying to teach people who are not in the same place as you are. And if that means, in your eyes, dumbing things down, then you should, because again, you are trying to take this position of a guide and a teacher. And, with being these um, roles, right, you have to have patience. You have to sometimes break things down for people if you truly want to be that, and if you're not just like there for the glory or whatever it is that you think is serving you, aside from like serving others. But yeah, so that was my whole experience, is that so for a really long time, I just like rejected all, because I've always had a pretty strong intuition, but I've just ignored it because I was like, it's not like I interpreted my intuition as like coincidences or something. And I would just like write them off because I'm like, it clearly can't be like intuition or like a sixth sense or any of that. Even if I saw something or heard something, I'd just like write it off as like my mind playing a trick on me, because for such a long time, I felt so excluded from spiritual spaces, right? And so that's why went so hard. Like I found almost like a reprieve or a sanctuary in like sciences and like logical things, um, things like, just like that made sense, that were like physically there. And for such a long time, I was so strongly of the belief that like I'll believe it if I see it, right? Seeing is believing, like that was my whole thing. And again, like even if I saw something and it didn't make sense, I would still like write it off. Like it would be written off as a trick of the mind. But this is because again, I felt so excluded. And so I think my whole, like the summary of this is that the reason I think I've started making these videos, and why, and the direction I want to take this is it's going to be unconventional, and a lot of people may not like it. But that's because my job is to demystify a lot of the things and try and understand things from a different perspective, so I can make it more digestible for people, because I do want people to connect to this part of themselves. I truly believe that if someone like me can connect to this part of themselves, this um, hidden, often ignored part of ourselves, if I can connect to that, and I can like reclaim sort of my um, reclaim my like ability to see beyond the veil, I guess, my ability to have like this strong intuition. I feel like anyone can, because I was so far gone, and for such a long time I literally was just like on this like rational logical path, and I was not willing to like believe in anything really. I was like, yeah, like, when it came to things like maybe like aliens and stuff, I'd be like my answer, like I had no confidence in like what I believed. I guess like internally, because I would just say things like, well, obviously there might be like alien life somewhere in the universe because it's so big, right? In the galaxy, we have so many galaxies. But I never, like, it was kind of just like a hypothesis. I was never like, no, I think there's aliens out there. um Anything that came to like the unknown, I was very much unwilling to like interact with that. But I think it's important to not to sort of discover or to nitpick at the unknown, but rather to sort of um, dip your toes in, right? And understand that sometimes we don't understand ourselves because we're not facing the unknown, because, we have an innate fear of it. And especially, again, like when you're turned away from these people who seem to understand the unknown, you feel like, okay, it's not meant for me. But I think my opinion is that it's meant for everyone. Um, Anyone can kind of unlock this part of themselves, and it's not like a some kind of gold mine that you, or like a gold rush you come upon. Um, so I'll be talking about things in the future in the way that I've come to understand them, and the ways that have helped me, including things like astrology and alchemy, spirits, just like in general, like the things that I've come to realize and understand, and things that have helped me. I want to share that with people, because I know there can't be like I know there I can't be the only one who has experienced this.